Badlands. Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
Good evening. Today is Black Monday, the day the Dow dropped more than 500 points.
Please join me in welcoming George Soros.
It's panic. Everyone's everybody would try to find a body.
To stand up and do something, become really engaged in the electoral process in this country.
What we have to confront is a deep, systemic and structural restructuring of our world. And this will take some time. And the world will look differently after we have gone through this transition process.
For centuries, they've been stuffing their stomachs with human flesh, and they've been stuffing their pockets with money. But they must realize that this bowl of vampires is about to end.
We have an army of digital soldiers.
That this is coming. This is going to be a part of a future where we can take back our power in ways we didn't even think about in the industrial age that are coming in the digital age.
But the common people of these countries in their heart, they can feel what's happening. They can see our struggle for our independence, for our true sovereignty. And they see this connection with their aspirations to be truly independent, which is exacerbated by the fact that in the Western elites there is a strong desire to freeze the current unfair state of things in international affairs.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. When they took a shot at my hero, and they tried to kill the next President of the United States, enough was enough. And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America great again.
People who don't believe are walking dead. They are asleep. And this is the awakening.
Now the players of Pepper team from DPR Korea and NBA Stars team from USA will enter the stadium.
It's game time.
경기에 앞서 로드맨 선생이 발언하겠습니다.
Before the game, Mr. Dennis Rodman would like to say a few words.
With the players out on court and 20,000 North Koreans waiting patiently, it's time for Dennis's big moment.
I would like to really thank my peers here from the U.S. having the guts to believe in me, to be here with the Marshal for his birthday. A lot of people have expressed different views about me and your leader here, the Marshal. And I take that as a compliment as far as the world. Yes, he's a great leader. He provides for his people here in this country. And thank God the people here love the Marshal. For the people in North Korea, I want to say one thing. This is history breaking grounds for everyone that's involved. My peers here, the national team here, all I want to say is this to my friend and his wife and his family. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Marshall. Happy birthday to you.
Dennis's serenading of the Marshal is very unexpected, even by his standards, and shows how naive he is to the wider political situation. It's very unlikely to go down well back home, but for now that'll have to wait. There's a basketball game to be played. And in another unexpected move, Dennis has decided to split the game into two halves. In the first half, it's the main event, the United States against North Korea. In the second half, Dennis is mixing up the teams, so both North Koreans and Americans will play side by side. A nice touch that will hopefully underline the real importance of the trip, bringing the people of two nations, divided in so many ways, closer together. But first, can the ex-NBA players beat a team of eager, hungry, young North Koreans, keen to please their Marshal? Speaking to the US coach, he seems more worried about his own team's fitness levels than those of the opposition.
Just do a lot of rotation.
You're muted.
Thank you, Cam. That's why I have you here.
Okay. Yep.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Book of Trump. We're going to try that again. I'm your host, Gordon McCormick, the ghost of bass Patrick Henry. Today is October 13th, 2025, and this is chapter 35, part 2 of our Dennis Rodman discussion examination. And I'm joined again by our friend Cam Cooksey. Cam, how are you this evening?
What's up, y'all? I'm doing great, Ghost. Thanks for having me again. I'm excited to get part 2 underway.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So for those who didn't see last week we went pretty far into really focusing more on the relationship between Dennis Rodman and Donald Trump, their friendship, played a bunch of clips from The Apprentice, which Dennis Rodman was on 2 different times. And it was very clear both times he was on the show that every time Trump had the opportunity to address the group, he would always start by singling out Dennis Rodman. He would always, pump his tires, so to speak. He'd always kind of lift up his self-esteem and his confidence, because despite being a 5-time NBA champion, he kind of has like some self-esteem issues, and obviously overlooked by every single person around him. Everyone just totally undervalued him. So we talked about how Trump is somebody who sees value in things that are broken and undervalued, and then he likes to fix them, build them up, and present them to the world and use them. Give them new purpose, I think is the better way to put it. So tonight we're going to talk about the relationship between Kim Jong-un and Dennis Rodman, and how that became a key relationship in world peace and establishing world peace and thwarting a nuclear war between, or at least according to the sources, the United States and North Korea. But before we go any further, let's get a word from a sponsor. And tonight we'll start with our friend Jordan Sather, Conscious Strength. Maha yourself with supplements that don't suck from Conscious Strength. Founded by Badlands' very own Jordan Sather in 2019, Conscious Strength products are made in America and won't break your bank, unlike other online brands. Their lineup includes collagen for strengthening joints and hair, electrolytes to get rid of those cramps, greens powder that tastes good and mixes easy, Shilajit gummies, methylene blue, zeolite, and more. Flip the finger to pharma, be your own doctor, and get supplements that you can trust from Conscious Strength. Go to badlandsmedia.tv/strength or shop now. One more time, badlandsmedia.tv/strength. Link will be in the description below for this video. Thanks again, Jordan. And I do use several of his products, the collagen and the methylene blue. So yes, I do. I definitely recommend them. I'm sorry. I need to. There we go. All right. So yes, as I was saying, tonight we are going to get into the relationship between Kim Jong-un and Dennis Rodman, and this is a really unique moment. I think this is like I said before. This is either a very elaborate, very well planned operation from white hats who really understood a very high emotional intellect to put this all together, or this is just providence and proof of God. And I think people listening may walk away leaning toward the latter, maybe a little bit of both when this episode's over. And to that point, let's start with this video or this article. So we have a few different articles here. One of them is one that the funny part at Cam is that a lot of these articles have been removed from the internet. Yeah. I found the article actually copy pasted in a Marlins, the Florida Marlins baseball team, a chat board for the Marlins baseball team. So somebody had taken this article from the Union Tribune from October 29, 2006, written by Mark Ziegler. It says, while the rest of the world watches Kim Jong-il fearful of North Korea's nuclear threat, the dictator often can't take his eyes off of the NBA. It says the image most Westerners probably have of Kim Jong-un, the reclusive North Korean leader who recently tested a nuclear device, is that of a diminutive, diabolical dictator with glasses and even bigger hair, sitting in one of his lavish palaces with a tray of beluga caviar and Hennessy XO cognac, one finger firmly on the button, which probably isn't too far from the truth. The button being a television remote control. Click. It's Shaq in the Miami Heat against the Chicago Bulls. Click. There's Kobe and the Los Angeles Lakers hosting the Phoenix Suns. By most accounts, Kim is a totalitarian despot who is hell-bent on delivering nuclear weapons to gain diplomatic leverage over against the rest of the planet, and who may or may not sell that technology to raise cash for his impoverished nation. But he also is an avid basketball fan, experts on North Korea say, so much so that he is said to have regulation courts at most of his palaces, plus a video library of practically every game Michael Jordan has ever played for the Bulls. While the rest of the world frets over what Kim might do with his nukes, Kim is sitting in his den watching pirated satellite television signals from the United States and wondering if Shaquille O'Neal's new shooting technique will improve his woeful free throw percentage, or Phil Jackson can get it going again with the Lakers. The NBA season, after all, opens Tuesday night in Miami and Los Angeles. Kim, 64, is famously nocturnal, often working through the night to run his country wedged between South Korea and China. Perfect. In North Korea, which is on the other side of the international date line, the games come on in the late morning. Kim doesn't want to die, Senator Rick Santorum of Pennsylvania said a few years ago after one of Kim's missile tests sent waves of fear across the globe. He wants to watch NBA basketball. Adds Tony Ronzone, director of basketball operations for the NBA's Detroit Pistons, who has made 3 trips to North Korea to conduct coaching clinics. He's a huge fan. He's addicted to it. Gene Schmiel was the deputy director of Korean affairs for the State Department in the early 1990s when he met with some top North Korean officials making a rare visit to the United States. They met during the day, had dinner together, and then continued their discussions in a hotel suite. hoping to find common ground with a staunchly communist country. The so-called hermit kingdom, the one that does not allow its 23 million citizens access to cell phones, the internet, international TV, or free press. Things seemed to be progressing methodically when the most senior North Korean diplomat looked at his watch, Schmiel said, blurted out, "Stop, no more. Michael and the Bulls are on TNT, and I've got to see if Scottie Pippen has gotten over his latest injury." Now, I'm going to stop there because you may be like I thought that was a really good, colorful, with some good anecdotes, like leading into that specific anecdote. That's why I'm reading off of the Marlins baseball chat right now. But that article that they're quoting right there, actually, I do have that one, and that one is right here.
You said that it's from 2006?
No, well, this article that I'm reading is from 2006, but the one that it's quoting is actually from 2001. And it's right here. That makes sense. Yeah, so this is from American Diplomacy. It's from March 2001, written by Eugene Schmiel. So Eugene Schmiel, I think, was one of the people in the room. Yeah. And so he's reading. He starts off by talking about the unprecedented visit last year, the year 2000, by Secretary of State Madeleine Albright to North Korea was the culmination of a long and difficult diplomatic process, one which began after the U.S. and North Korea met up on a political level for the first time in 1992. Having been the deputy director for Korean affairs in the Department of State back then, I followed the press reports about the secretary's visit with great interest. One item in particular, which probably very few others noted, caught my eye. It came when the secretary presented. This is Madeleine Albright, presented a unique gift for North Korea's dear leader, Kim Jong-il, an official NBA basketball autographed by the greatest player of our time, Michael Jordan of the Chicago Bulls. The incongruity of these three particular personalities coming together to advance diplomacy brought a smile to my face as I thought back to my small role in setting that process, as well as the overall negotiations in motion. And then he goes on to explain how they got that ball, like they got the basketball, they got it to Michael Jordan, they got Michael Jordan to sign it, they got it to Madeleine Albright, and so then scrolling down, here's the actual anecdote. And so the 5 paragraphs before the paragraph I'm about to read, which is a rehash of what we just read, they're talking about like nuclear power plants. We're talking about like fissile material and like technical aspects of how nuclear power plants work and how they want, the North Koreans are explaining how their power plants work, and the Americans are expressing how they, what their concerns are with the power plants and how they're concerned these power plants might be used to make nuclear weapons and all of that. And then it says the discussions proceeded positively until 10, when the climax of the evening arrived unexpectedly and for completely unforeseen reasons. Looking at his watch, the director, talking about the guy leading the North Korean delegation, said, "Stop, no more. Michael and the Bulls are on TNT, and I've got to see if Scottie has gotten over his latest injury." And so again, this is not like that wasn't Kim Jong-il saying that. That was the leader, like the director of the diplomatic envoy that was sent to Washington to negotiate with the Clinton administration. And they literally just, so it's not just the Kims who were like obsessed with the Bulls. It's like by proxy,
Korea, man.
It's their entire government has become obsessed with the Bulls, probably because Kim Jong-il was. And again, like the origin of all this is Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is the origin of all of it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so it's worth just pointing all that out. And I know you said you had pulled some highlights. I think maybe now would be a good time to pull those and just look at them a little bit, because just to give people who aren't really familiar with like who only know Dennis Rodman as kind of the crazy character that he's become. Maybe just a little bit of context. Let me know when you got your screen
for sure
shared.
Let's see. So many tabs open. Here we go. All right. So this is it's a long highlight, so I'll just play the first few minutes of it. But guys, this is Dennis Rodman's highlights from the 96-97 season, and that's actually the season where the Bulls, I think they went 72-10 in an 82 game season. It's still I think it's the second best ever now because the Warriors did it at one point, but back when basketball was basketball, this was it. And people always thought Dennis Rodman was just a defensive guy, rebounding guy, but you'll see here, he was a good player, man.
Bob for Randy Brown, who puts it, just couldn't quite get it. Rodman with a tip, comes back underneath and puts it in. Great second effort from Dennis Rodman. Made a great move with the hand, put it up.
I'll tell you, Dennis, everybody around her, Dennis in. Michael getting hammered a couple times now. He says, boy.
Luke playing a little point guard here.
Dennis.
That's Rodman with an outside shot.
About a 17-footer.
With a post up now. Rodman, here he goes.
Yeah, Dennis cleans it up with a left-hand drive, and it
pushes it ahead to Dennis. Great pass. How about that?
Very nicely done, and Dennis Rodman has got another double-double.
Dennis could get it right back. Here he comes. To Mike. Good pass.
Great pass. Very unselfish play by Dennis Rodman. Fires it over to Mike. Mike hammers it home.
Shot clock to 10. Into Rodman. Got position on Grand Long.
Yeah, he really did. And actually,
shot clock at 7. Rodman, the offensive powerhouse.
So I'm going to pause it there. All right. So you guys probably noticed a few things about Rodman. He's moving around a lot. He was only 6'7", about 2. He's the same size as Michael Jordan, basically. Weighed a little bit more, but he guarded all 5 positions. He ran the court. He was able to shoot from the outside. Everyone knows him as this crazy guy diving all over the court. But I just wanted to play like a minute or so. That's actually good for now. A minute or so of that, just so people knew, like, this is a cerebral guy. He knew the game of basketball. He wasn't just some bruiser. He's not some idiot. And actually, I have one more little clip that I wanted to show you guys. And it's something simple. It's literally just him and Michael on the bench talking. But you can see the look in his eyes and the look in Michael's eyes to see, like, Dennis Rodman was not some idiot, brute, whatever. This guy's a cerebral guy, but he has issues, man. Like he came from a broken home. We talked about it last week and everything, but like, you can pull it up whenever you're ready. But I'll just let this ride.
Hey, Dennis. Let me know when Oakley's going to set a back screen on. Set that screen right there so when you want me to open it up and just hold him. If you have to switch out, switch out. I can stop Houston right there. The Oak's not turning around. I can stop him right there. That should catch up. When the clock was running down, he set that screen and veered over the top. Switch in that situation.
Yeah, you're muted, I think.
They get 30 seconds to do that, guys. Like, this is a quick timeout. They're sitting down. They're obviously huffing and puffing, and they're trying to strategize. Like, this man can think quickly on his feet when his body's tired. At that time, he may have been hungover. Who knows? But this guy's mind is sharp, man. He just has to be focused, and it has to be something that he cares about.
Yeah, well, and Michael Jordan was like legendary for like being a very difficult person to play with because he demanded excellence from every single person, and if you didn't perform, he just rode your ass. Him and Tom Brady was kind of the same way, allegedly, where it's like if you weren't doing your job and you weren't pulling your weight, you were dead to Michael Jordan. When he's talking to Dennis, it's like he's expecting him to understand exactly what he's saying, and he's expecting him to be able to strategize with him like that and correct whatever they're trying to correct. So anyway, that's it's just good insight to know that. And I think this is what Trump cues in on. Like, Trump very much cues in on this and understands that Dennis is a cerebral player. He is extremely broken as we discussed last week. He's very much undervalued. Everyone on the Apprentice was making fun of him. Nobody wanted them on their team. They were all like, why is this guy even here? And then Trump said when they were picking teams and he was the last one picked and nobody really wanted them, Trump was like, well, if I was picking Dennis, I would have picked you much earlier. That's because I know you much better than these people do. And that was very telling. So that brings us to the timeline. I want to revisit the timeline of Dennis Rodman going to North Korea. So like we discussed, let me see. Like we discussed last week, you had Dennis go and film the season 13 of The Apprentice. That was in 2012, the summer of 2012. And then August of 2012, we watched the clip last week from that documentary, Dennis Rodman's Big Bang in Pyongyang. And that was where Darren Prince, who was his agent, explained in the documentary that he was contacted in August of 2012 by an executive from Vice Media, Vice was working on a documentary with HBO, and they were sending the Harlem Globetrotters to North Korea for like a stint. And they were wondering if Dennis Rodman would be interested in going. And obviously most people knew because of all of these articles that had been written in the prior 20 years that the Kims were big Chicago Bulls fans. So they asked if Dennis Rodman wanted to go. And it's funny because in that moment, like in that interview, Darren Prince is very open about the fact that he understood what he was signing Dennis up for. Yeah. But in subsequent interviews, like a year later, when they're getting all this heat for doing this, Darren Prince is acting like when he signed Dennis Rodman up to go, he says, I thought I was sending him to South Korea. I had no idea I was sending him to North Korea because they're getting tons and tons and tons of heat. And that's what I want to also focus on here is the heat that they're getting. But before we get there, let's run through this timeline a little more.
Okay.
So, well, do you have that? You have the clip from CNN. I think it might be worth. Let's go ahead and play that clip first, and then because maybe this is like Romeo and Juliet. We'll tell you the ending at the beginning, and then we'll work towards the ending.
That'll work well. So, it's the whole clip's like 9 minutes. It's what's the dude's name? That Cuomo. Chris Cuomo. Yeah. So Chris Cuomo's interviewing him. He's poking him on. I forgot the guy's name. I have it in the article. There's a guy that was over there for like a 15-year sentence. Where is it? It's right here. Kenneth Bay. So Kenneth Bay is a man that was over in North Korea, all this stuff. So he's poking him. And then so Dennis, let me share my screen. And then Dennis is there actually with the guy his name's Charles something. He was in the clip you showed, but he's a former NBA player too. He's an older gentleman, but he's kind of like defending Dennis. And then at this part I have it at, Dennis is like, let me say something. And I thought this was very passionate. So whenever you're ready.
Don't use them as an excuse for the behavior that you're putting on yourself.
They came here.
You just basically were saying that Kenneth Bay did something wrong. We don't even know what the charges are. Don't use these guys as a shield for you, Dennis.
Listen. Ain't no shield. I got it. Let me do this. Really, I'm gonna tell you one thing. People around the world, I'm gonna do one thing. You guy behind the mic right now. We are the guys here doing one thing. We have to go back to America and take the abuse. Do you have to take the abuse? Well, we're going to take it. Do you, sir? Let me know. Are you going to take that abuse? We're going to get it. But guess what, though? One day, this door is going to open because these 10 guys here, all of us, Christy, Ben, Dennis, Charles, all these guys, everybody here, we could just open the door just a little bit for people to come here and do one thing.
And Dennis makes a great point. There are other Americans.
Okay, so he says door, by the way. I don't know if you guys could hear that, but like when they zoom in on him and it gets real quiet for a second, he says this door will open. Obviously talking about coming to North Korea.
Yeah. So that's a good transition. Let's look at who these guys are, who he's sitting with.
Okay. You want me to look it up and tell you, or do you have it?
Oh, no. I already got it.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Why is it not adding the screen? There it is. Okay, so here again, this is all that I'm pulling from this film, this documentary that was made in 2015 called Dennis Rodman's Big Bang in Pyongyang, made by Colin Offlin and Chief Productions. And they had this really nice graphics, really nice part where so I put all these screenshots. You have mostly NBA all-stars.
I know all these guys. Like when it comes to just basketball in the 90s, I could tell you the teams they played for, all this stuff. And the guy up there, Guy Easy J Dupree, I believe, if I'm not wrong, he was like one of those players that was good enough to be in the NBA, but he's more of like a street ball type player or like college player, because some guys just don't translate to that league. But These are all elite basketball players.
Yeah, it says so they had an amateur slam dunk champion. That was that guy, Easy J. They had this other guy, Antoine Scott. He was a Harlem Globetrotter. They had Andre Silkpool, street ball legend.
I remember him.
Kenny Anderson, Vin Baker, Doug Christie, Cliff Robinson, and then the leader of the whole team was Charles Smith.
Yep.
Who runs a New York City-based sports marketing agency and was certainly the most polished in terms of like doing television interviews. So he was the guy who was sitting directly next to.
I could literally hear his voice right at the end when I cut it off. That was the guy talking, and he runs interference for Dennis most of that interview because Chris Cuomo is just coming at him, and he's trying to provoke Dennis because he's an emotional guy. And if you notice, like Dennis does have handlers obviously throughout his life, but he also has people that quote unquote handle, but they're there to protect him.
Yeah. I think that's very fair. And so I want to play this clip because this is like a really telling moment. Like I watched, like I thought this was really well done by the guy making it, by Colin Offlin, because they show you all of this footage of Dennis in North Korea, and it's very peaceful and it's very serene, and like the way he's being treated by everyone is very respectful and it's very calm. It's almost like soothing. While they're explaining, they're like, yeah, I mean, this is all obviously being very like orchestrated, but as this guy on screen explains, this guy is I believe he's living in South Korea, but he's an expert in North Korea. He also says, to be fair, if we were to bring like a foreign dignitary to the United States, we wouldn't take them to like, the ghetto. We take them to the nicest parts of America. So that's
Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom did that for Chi, I think it was, or somebody. He like completely kicked out all the homeless people in the area just to make it look good for a diplomat. Everybody does it.
Yeah. So, like you can't really knock them for doing that, but let's watch this clip because this is like a pretty interesting. The place that he's going to, he's leaving North Korea. He lands in South Korea. So that he's not landing in America yet. He's landing in just the South Korean airport.
Find the worst place in Paris. Anybody's going to do that.
Of it to everyone back home. Our man Daniel Pinkston has his own views on that.
I've been to North Korea 5 times. The political promotion and propaganda, and that's true and that's real. But there's also just a human side to that as well, right? Someone, their hometown is Paris, and someone they come from Vietnam, they come to Paris, they're going to show them the Louvre and the Eiffel Tower, they're going to show them nice things. And I say, well, let me go find the worst place in Paris. Anybody's going to do that. So there's, yes, that there is the element that they want to manipulate for the propaganda value. Yes, that's true, but there's also a big part of it's just human nature.
The last stop on the tour is a new sports complex where Dennis is asked to shoot a few baskets for the cameras. Dennis was
So we'll skip through this part.
It's just a few days until Christmas, and it's time for Dennis and his entourage to head home to spend some quality time with their friends and families. As a nation, North Korea doesn't follow any traditional sort of religion, and they certainly don't celebrate Christmas. But was Dennis disappointed that his friend, Kim Jong-un, hadn't gotten into the spirit and stopped by for a visit?
I'm not just coming over here to meet the leader, the marshal. I came over to meet the basketball team to prepare a great game for the leader for his birthday.
Okay, so real quick, the people you're seeing on screen here, Darren Prince is not on screen, but he wasn't on the trips, but that's his agent. We'll talk about him later on. Ken Robertson, I don't believe is on the screen either. Let me verify that.
I think I might have just seen him. I'm not totally sure.
No. That wasn't him. That was different guys. But Ken Robertson is called the head of mischief from Paddy Power. Paddy Power is that Irish gambling website. They're the ones who are sponsoring this whole thing. Then you have.
Sorry, go ahead. I had something I was about to say, and I had to stop myself, so I'm telling you, go ahead, so I can stop talking.
Daniel Pinkston is the guy that they were just interviewing. So Joe Welliger is a professor who goes to North Korea regularly and like teaches English, like that sort of stuff, and is familiar. So when like he reached out to Darren Prince when he found out they were doing this, and he said, "Hey, can we like meet up with y'all?" And they were saying, "Oh, well, if y'all know your way around, then yeah, how about we hitch our wagon to you and you show us around?" Because the other guy was Michael Spavor. And so he's a North Korean tour specialist. So he actually gives like guided tours to like Westerners. So it's not like it's not like Dennis Rodman was going to North Korea like totally by himself and didn't know like what to expect. He was going with people who had been there before. It was just kind of this really strange collection like of misfits who didn't really have any real connection with one another. And then this other guy, that young guy in the shot, Rory Scott, is one of, he was the liaison for Paddy Power, the gambling site. So before I show this next part, let me just walk through the timeline again, because I think it's important. Okay. So you have 3 visits in 2013. You have the February 26th to March 1st visit. That was with Vice Media and the Harlem Globetrotters. And that was where Kim and Rodman meet for the first time. And Dennis learns that Kim Jong-un is not at all impressed with the Harlem Globetrotters. Like, he likes real basketball. He's like a basketball obsessed aficionado. And so that's where he gets this idea to plan like an actual NBA game. So he goes back in September 3rd, because remember, he goes to Rome and pitches that he leaves the meeting in March, or he leaves the trip in March. He goes to Rome, and that's where he pitches Paddy Power on doing this. And so Paddy Power, that guy that I was just showing you, Ken Robertson, head of mischief. There are all sorts of famous campaigns that people are going to recognize. Like, I'm not going to waste your time running through them, but like public, like PR stunts, marketing ploys that this guy was responsible for. And it was all about like, just bringing attention to the website, like the gambling website. And so he sees this as a major opportunity. The thing that they were promoting at the time when this is why he went and met with them in Rome, is because the Pope had just died and the Pope was being replaced. And they were putting out gambling odds the Pope didn't die. It was the first papal resignation in 600 years. So that was like a major thing. And then the 2 favorites to be the next Pope were these 2 guys from Africa. So it would have been the first Black Pope. Right. And so they were offering the special. It was a 6-to-1 odds for this one cardinal and this 4-to-1 odds for this other cardinal. But they were offering your money back if the Cardinals elect the first Black Pope. So yeah, it's just a big ploy just to get people to go to the website and gamble.
Yeah.
But that's why we then see this shot of Dennis Rodman in Rome going to meet with these guys. Here's the press conference they do with Ken Robertson. And then so September of 2013, this is his second visit. He goes, this visit is sponsored by Paddy Power. He goes and socializes with Kim, hangs out with Kim. He tells Darren Prince relays this to us in the documentary, that he held Kim Jong-un's infant daughter. He was the first non-North Korean person to ever touch Kim Jong-un's kids. He tells them her name, Ju-ae. And that had never been known. Like, this is information that, the intelligence community doesn't even know. And like Dennis Rodman is just like relaying this casually to Darren Prince.
They hate that too, man. They hate when someone knows something they don't.
And so this is where like he tells Kim, he's like, I want to do this for you. Your birthday is on January 8th, and I want to do this on your birthday. I want to bring my friends from the NBA, organize this game, and we'll play an actual game with you. And we'll bring in like the best of the best North Korean players. Like you bring out your national team. And so he then comes back in December, like the week like before Christmas. This is his 3rd visit, and he is meeting with, that's what this picture is down here, him at the Beijing airport. And so during this visit, this is his like bodyguard / assistant. And so during this visit, he is they do like tryouts. Like he goes and he watches the national team play. He tells them to like run a scrimmage, and then he picks the guys that he wants to play. He's like, all right, here are the guys that are going to play. And then they actually like do interviews with them in the documentary. It's pretty interesting, pretty well done. You then have this little scene where they're driving him around the Pope Mobile. So it's like, it's a goofy. This is in Rome. It's like a goofy marketing, right? But And then you heard in the clip that I played at the beginning of the cold open, he then comes up with the idea that they're going to do 2 halves. The first half, it'll be the Americans versus the Korean, like the young Korean kids. And then the second half, they'll mix the teams. And, again, that's like a cerebral move. Like we're going to have like North Korean players play with non-Korean players, which seems very trivial. But at the same time, it's like they've never played against non-North Korean players. And they've never played with non-North Korean players, right? So
I'll tell you real quick, little anecdote. So I grew up playing soccer, as most people know. So as I got older, probably like 14, 15, we started traveling to different parts of the country, then like traveling overseas. And whenever we did like an event where you had players from like foreign countries or people that didn't speak English, and you guys mixed the teams together and you played, there was this connection that you gained with them, because there's times where like you don't have to use English or Spanish or whatever to communicate because you know the sport. So like little hand gestures and stuff, and you start laughing, high-fiving, and that's diplomacy right there. Like that's genius.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I think it's well said. And I meant to say Jen Cantrell, 1776, did a Rumble rant before we even started. $5. Keep up the great work. Jen, appreciate your support. Thanks for being here. Everyone, please hit the thumbs up. So let's keep watching this clip, because this was pretty like an interesting contrast.
And people need to understand that.
And remember, by the time he's going back for this third trip, the whole world knows what he's doing. Like this was,
right.
The first one was kind of like, oh, this is really goofy. Like, what is, like, what's that?
I remember people made fun of him. They were just like, Dennis Rodman's at it again. He's crazy. He says he's going to go to North Korea. There's no way his black ass is going to North Korea. Like no one believed it. And then he went, and they were just like, oh shit.
Yep. Then he goes back a second time, and then he's like, all right, I'm going to do this with Kim. And then this is the third time he's going to set up the logistics and make sure everything is prepared, pick the players they're going to play against, etc. So this is him now going home from that trip.
It's not important for me to meet him every time I come over, because he has another greater job to do for his country.
I think it's safe to say pretty much.
So Dennis remains upbeat, and with the first part of the trip successfully under his belt, he arrives back in Beijing. But what Dennis doesn't know is that while he's been away, international interest in the game has erupted, and the world's media is waiting for him.
Let's speed it up a little bit. All right. I just want you to see like how he's treated here and how kind of crazy it is.
This was Michael Jordan with the Dream Team in Barcelona in '92. The only time I've ever seen stuff like this.
Remember, like nobody cared about Dennis Rodman before this.
No, he was the third man on the team.
Yeah. So there's like no sense of personal space. This is South Korea. And so then his like assistant bodyguard then blocks the escalator so he can get away. Okay, and now listen to what happens to this Paddy Power guy. The guy he's called the head of mischief. He's like all about spicy marketing,
Over the
right?
break, the amount of negative press surrounding the game mounts and mounts. Dennis, the focal point of the media's anger. And Dennis learns that as a result, not everybody will be joining him on the return journey to Pyongyang in a fortnight's time.
Everything changed before Christmas. Our collective view in terms of our participation in the project changed before Christmas. And that had obviously to do with the purge. North Korea was suddenly the subject of intense international scrutiny.
Dramatic statement that Kim Jong-un intends to be ruthless. Fears of a new instability in North Korea.
Kim Jong-un is basically telling the elite in Pyongyang, if you're disloyal to me, you will be executed.
That made us reassess exactly what we were doing. And that led us to a position that we were no longer comfortable being associated with the event.
Paddy Power has pulled out, which at first glance would seem to be a massive blow for Dennis. Without them, his project would never have gotten off the ground. And it would have been fun to watch a self-promoting gambling company hanging out in a country where both advertising and gambling are illegal. But when Dennis arrives back in Beijing, he doesn't seem too concerned. Now, Paddy Power are not around. This is solely the Dennis Rodman show. No wonder he seems upbeat as he meets his fellow American basketball players who've signed up for the match.
Cliff Robinson. I played 18 years in NBA.
Okay. This is going to be the intro, but they go on to kind of explain like the scrutiny that these guys start coming under, like in the 2 weeks between Christmas and when they're doing this game, and how the whole thing kind of just turns political and it stops being about basketball and it starts being about why are y'all even doing this? Why are y'all even trying to humanize these people? These people are all subhuman animals who all deserve to live in isolation and basically just starve to death. And I see a strong correlation between the way that like the North Koreans are viewed and treated and talked about in the media and the way that like the Gazans are talked about in the media. Like they're just talked about like they aren't even human. And the fact that you would even attempt to engage with them as human beings makes you by proxy a bad person. And that's one of the reasons that the story just fascinated me so much, that they would even do this and that they would even go about this. So what they're talking about when they talk about the purge is they're talking about this guy, Jang Song-taek. And so he was a North Korean politician. He was married to the only daughter of North Korean Kim Kilo-sung, and his wife, Kim Jong-suk, the only sister of North Korean General Secretary of Kim Jong-un, Kim Jong-il. So this guy was married to the daughter. So it would have been, he's married to the niece of Kim Jong-il, I believe. So basically it's like Kim Jong-un cousin, I think, if I'm, so well, he was the uncle. So he was the uncle. It says right here, he was the uncle of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un by marriage.
Okay, so it was Kim Jong-il's sister that he married.
Kim Jong-il's sister, I think. Yeah. Okay. I think
that's because that's the only way he could be his uncle. So that's how it.
Yeah, I think it's just a weird wording they have here.
Yeah.
The extent of Jang Song-taek's power and position has not been confirmed in the West. However, in 2008, South Korean government officials and academic North Korean experts suggest that he had de facto leadership of North Korea while Kim Jong-il's health was declining, and when Kim subsequently died. Jang was a vice chairman of the National Defense Commission, a position considered second only to that of the supreme leader. He is believed to have been promoted to a 4-star general around the time of Kim Jong-il's death in December 2011. As his first appearance in uniform while visiting Kim lying in state, Jang was considered a key policy advisor to Kim Jong-un. In December 2013, Jang was abruptly accused of being a counter-revolutionary and was stripped of all of his posts and expelled from the Workers' Party of Korea. His photos were removed from official media and his image digitally removed from photos and other North Korean leaders. With other North Korean leaders on December 13th, North Korean state media announced that he had been executed by firing squad. Mm-hmm. So, remember the timeline here. Kim Jong-il dies December 2011. Okay. April 2012 is when Dennis Rodman begins filming The Apprentice. He films for 2 months, right? And then August is when they get the invite. So we're talking about a matter of months between Kim Jong-un becoming the leader of North Korea and Dennis Rodman getting the invite to come play basketball there. And this guy, Jang Song-taek, is the key policy advisor who kind of becomes the de jure leader in between, because Kim Jong-un is very young at the time. I believe I want to say he was 30. And he's kind of just figuring it out. And as he's doing that, this guy's kind of stepping in as his uncle and taking the reins. That's what it seems to be is happening. And within 2 years of Kim Jong-il dying, this guy is accused of being a counter-revolutionary who it sounds like he was trying to do a coup. And if you think about, it's and again, it's we don't know because we can't get there's really no information that comes out of North Korea. So it's all speculation and innuendo and intuition. But you would think that from like the CIA standpoint or from a outside bad actor standpoint, whether it's a CIA, Five Eyes, MI6, whoever, they're going to look at this and say, all right, we can't trust this kid, Kim Jong-un. He's young. He grew up in Switzerland, going to boarding school. He's a fan of Western culture. Who knows what he's going to do once he gets into power? We got to make sure that he is handled and neutered basically as a leader. We need somebody who we can trust, who's actually pulling the levers. They would go to somebody else who actually, I mean, this would be a perfect person for them to go to and lean on and be like, all right, you're going to be the leader of North Korea now. Even if Kim Jong-un is the official leader, like the figurehead, you're going to be the actual leader. That's what it seems to me was actually happening. And the fact that Dennis Rodman's trip is becoming highly publicized in 2013. And once he goes back in September for a second visit and it becomes official that he's coming back in January of 2014 to do this like basketball diplomacy thing, it would make sense that this guy would make a move before then to like solidify his position and consolidate his power, which is why the month before this all happens. Now, again, it's also possible that none of this actually, just take the Chris Paul route, none of this actually happened. And it was all just made up by the West, all made up by Western media, because what ends up happening is this firestorm of pressure on all these basketball players. That's why they're sitting there in that conference, that press conference that you were playing, and Dennis Rodman loses his cool and starts like screaming, is because they're all being asked all these geopolitical questions that they don't have the answer to. And they're like, dude, we're just here to play basketball. Like, we don't like know anything about this stuff. And even if we did, why would we tell you? We're sitting here in North Korea and you're asking us to explain why they just executed one of the most powerful men in North Korea. Like, none of it makes any sense.
They're setting them up to get killed, possibly. Like that's the other thing, because this is another thing that I know our audience understands it, but I don't think people understand. Most of those guys are from the hood, man. Most of those guys are from the hood. You don't take risks when you don't have to. Like, imagine you're in other people's turf and you've been invited as a guest, and they're like, "Hey, are you gonna call out that dude over there?" It's like, absolutely not, man. Like, you trying to get me killed, bro? Like, what are you talking about? I'm in their territory. Like, that's how these guys think, because that's how they grew up. They have militant mindsets, even though I know that they become superstars and stuff. Like, they came from that.
Yeah. So, he goes on, like we'll talk more about what happens between the visit in 2014 and Trump. But I want to play this clip. So, like, we're going to jump ahead in time a little bit, because what ends up happening is that he goes back in 2014. They do the game. This is January 2014. And he ends up giving Kim Jong-un a copy of The Art of the Deal as a gift. Now, this story is from 2017, but as it's reported, is he actually gave it to Kim Jong-un like years before that.
All right.
So this is from June 2017 that this is being reported. So let me see. Let me go back to where that clip was. I'm sorry. So this is in Singapore, when Trump and Kim Jong-un are meeting in Singapore at the Singapore Summit, June 12th, 2018. And remember, 3 weeks before this, we're going to do a Kim Jong-un episode, so we'll run through like the whole actual timeline, the relationship between Trump and Kim Jong-un. So we're focusing on Dennis Rodman. But what ends up happening is May 24th, 2018, Trump puts out a post being like, "Hey, we were going to have this summit in Singapore, but Kim Jong-un is just acting like a jackass. He's fat and stupid. I can't trust him. You know what? We're just going to cancel the whole thing." And then all of a sudden, he hops on Air Force One on June 11th and flies across the Pacific and goes to Singapore. And we get that moment where him and Kim Jong-un walk out in front of the flags, and Trump, they shake hands and Trump gestures at the camera. That's a year before he goes to the DMZ. That was 2019. Oh. But the whole media is in awe, because Trump said Kim Jong-un was fat and stupid, and because he's fat and stupid, we can't meet in person. And then he just goes and meets in person anyway, and actually does the summit. And so Dennis Rodman is having this like emotional interview with Chris Cuomo. And Chris Cuomo is getting a little angry because he's like, explain to me why we would be giving Kim Jong-un the time of day. He is a ruthless dictator, right? Explain this to me. Let's listen.
Dennis, did Kim reach out to you or any of his people reach out to you? The president's people, anybody reach out to you for insight into the other side?
Well, you know what? I've talked to those guys the last 5 years.
Which guys?
And I talked to Kim Jong-un and an administration over there 5 years ago. And he asked me 5 years ago, we sat down for lunch. And he sat down and asked me, hey, Dennis, I would like to ask you three things. If you go back to tell the president of the United States these three things, and I would be willing to talk to him. And it's a true story.
He's talking about Obama because 5 years ago it would have been 2000.
Yeah.
So he's talking about Obama, and he's talking about 2013. But he also mentions that he was talking to Trump too at the time because remember he had just been on The Apprentice.
And I got my people here that heard the conversation. He said things like, if they can move the ships back from South Korea, I would do what I have to do to listen. If you can move certain things or do certain things, I will listen. My ears will be open. And I tried to do that to Obama. And Obama didn't even give me the time of day. I asked him, I said, I have something to say from North Korea. He just brushed me off. But that didn't deter me. I still kept going back. I kept going back.
He brushed him off because he thought he was an idiot. Just like all those other people on The Apprentice thought he was an idiot, right? He undervalued Dennis Rodman, and for that reason, he missed an opportunity. I mean, it's Obama. They didn't want there to be diplomacy between North Korea and the United States. But from the normie narrative standpoint, he missed an opportunity to engage in diplomacy through Dennis Rodman.
Show my loyalty and my trustworthy to this country. And I said to everybody, I said, the door will open.
I remember you saying it. I remember you saying it. Let me ask you something. Does Kim understand English, Dennis?
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. When I said those things, when I said those damn things, when I went back home, I got so many death threats. I was sitting there protecting everything. And I believed in North Korea. And when I went home, I couldn't even go home. I had to hide out for 30 days. I couldn't even go home. But I kept my head up high, brother. I knew things were going to change. I knew it. I was the only one. I never had no one to hear me. I didn't know one had to see me. But I took those bullets. I took all that. I took everything. Everyone came at me, and I'm still standing. And today is a great day for everybody. Singapore, Tokyo, China, everything. It's a great day.
It is a great day. This is a historic day.
I'm so happy.
You were saying to me years ago that you thought this would happen. And I want to let you be ready for me to ask you another question. I know you're very emotional about this.
Go ahead.
This is what I want to know. I want to know.
Before we get to the next question, just recognize what he just said. He just said that his life was threatened and that he had to go into hiding for 30 days because people were trying to kill him. Like, that's a pretty big deal.
And that's not hyperbole
you're an emotional
either.
guy.
Yeah, I don't think it's hyperbole either. Like, based on the footage that was in that documentary and the stuff that all these basketball players were facing back in 2014, 2013, I definitely believe it.
You feel very deeply about things. People who've been around you understand that.
Right.
Why did you feel so strongly that you needed to make something happen for North Korea? There's so many places you could have gone in the world that have, a much easier path to peace than North Korea, given the record of human rights abuses and other practices of this despotic regime. But you chose North Korea. Why?
Well, I feel like I said, I was very naive when I went over there. I didn't understand and expect all the things I was getting when I went over there. They said, do you realize what you was doing, Dennis, when you went over there? I said, no. I thought it was just another one of those things. I was just doing some charity event. I knew nothing about North Korea. I just thought I was going to play basketball and just treat the people and be happy, and that was it. But it turned out to be so much more bigger than what I thought. And I felt the fact that, just listen to the people, seeing the kids, seeing the people there, and just meeting the regime, Kim Jong-un, and the whole marshals and everybody. I just felt like I fell in love with the country from day one. And I feel like that, I guess I owe it to myself, you know, and the people around the world, you know what. I'm not in this for no money. I never started this for no money. This is not about Dennis Rodman being the greatest person in the world to lead these two people together. It has nothing to do with that. I just wanted to see it get done so we all can live good together.
Well, here's the
no
first
hatred,
day.
no more hatred.
Here's the first day. Let's see where it goes. Let me ask you something. You talk about speaking with Kim Jong-un. Does he understand or speak English?
And one thing about him, though, I always said about him, he's more like a big kid, even though he's small. He's more like a big kid, but he loves to have a good.
He's actually not that small.
No.
I need to pull up his stats, but he's when I went and looked his stats up, I was like, oh, he's like 6. Yeah. I think he's like 6'3" or something. He's not really that small.
Well, Trump is 6'4" and Rodman's 6'7". So like when they say Little Rocket Man, like we imagine it because next to them he is small, but like this dude is like a point guard in the NBA.
Yeah.
Time, and I was saying,
and this is important when he says he's a big kid. Like let me scrub back a little bit.
Even though he's small, he's more like a big kid, but he loves to have a good time. And I was saying last night or this morning that he was going around taking selfies and stuff like that. And I was saying that this guy wants to be around the world. He wants to come to America. He wants to enjoy his life. He wants his people to enjoy his life. But I think that the fact that he doesn't have the tools and maybe the politics of this whole meeting is just going to happen. I think this is going to change a lot. And I hope the fact that President Trump can understand, knowing that Kim is trying to reach out and trying to get into the 21st century.
That's the big.
Okay. Yeah, so I went and looked it up. One source said he's 5'2", which is definitely not true. One says he's 5. One said he's 5'7". That might be true. Let me see. I mean, I'm looking at him here. I'm looking at him here next to Trump. I mean, Trump is 6'4".
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, maybe he is like 5'7". Maybe he is a little.
No, man, that's 5'11", bro. Like that's like I don't know. I'm trying to think of a good description. That's like Jordan Sather next to John or something. You know what I'm saying?
When you see him right here, I mean, I don't know. He doesn't look that small to me here, but I don't know.
He's over his shoulder, so like Trump's head can't be more than like 6 or 7 or 6 inches.
Well, yeah, like 8 inches, maybe 8 or 9.
I don't know how long a human head is, but
a foot. Actually, it's probably it's probably a good foot from the top of your head. Anyway, it's a dumb.
We don't need to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, you know, like that clip right there, I think is a powerful clip, and it goes on and on and on. It's a very long interview. It's like an hour. There's like an hour-long clip of him just talking to Chris Cuomo, and it's a good back and forth because he explains a lot of different things about what. I actually think I might have the other part. Let me see if I have the other part
of that same clip.
Yeah, because I think it's worth watching when he has. Okay. If you have any thoughts to share, you can share those.
I'll just because we probably won't want to even get to this CNN article because it's basically tied into that clip that I was showing. But so when he came back from, I'll just read off some stuff real quick. So. This is from Darren Prince. He says, Dennis came back from North Korea in pretty rough shape emotionally. The pressure that was put on him to be a combination superhuman, political figure, and fixer got to the better of him. He is embarrassed, saddened, and remorseful for the anger and hurt his words have caused. And that was the whole thing with the guy that was there for 15 year sentence in the original Chris Cuomo interview.
Yeah. And so like, well, let's talk about that real quick. So that's what they're talking about. Kenneth Bay. And Kenneth Bay, I mean, look, he started an NGO called NGI, Nehemiah Global Initiative, whose goals consist of remembering, rescuing, and recovering North Korean refugees and rebuilding their lives in China. He was convicted by the North Korean government on charge of planning to overthrow the government. It says that, you know, he was a part of some sort of like a ministry where he was going there and preaching. It says the Covenant Theological Seminary, where he earned his master's degree in Master's of Divinity in 2002. So, you know, what he was accused of is he's accused of an anti-North Korea religious coup d'etat called Operation Jericho, which is a reference to the biblical city whose walls were toppled by the sound of the Israelites' trumpets. You know, so it's hard to. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like when you're going to North Korea and you're preaching against North Korea, or you're engaging in anti-North Korea behavior. Like you go into a foreign country and you are preaching subversive rhetoric. These days I kind of side eye all those people, and I'm like, well, what is the real reason that you're there? Because
and who paid for you to get there?
Yeah,
too?
who sent you there? It's like I actually look at a lot of these people, and I'm like, you know what? This guy probably was actually working for the CIA, and he actually probably was trying to overthrow the North Korean government. So that's what that was all about. They were pressuring Dennis Rodman to try to get him to release Kenneth Bay. And he's like, this isn't my job. Like, I'm not. It's not like get Obama to do this. Like, why am I the one asking my friend to release this guy? They did the same thing with Putin, with like all these people who were trying
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Wait, real quick before we get off that topic, I got a question for you.
Yeah, sure.
And if you want, you can come back to it. But the reason I pulled up this article was talking about how Dennis Rodman went to like a 20-day or 28-day or 30-day rehab after he got back, and they were saying that this was after the third trip. Do you know anything about that?
After the third trip, he had to go to a 28-day. Well, that was when he said he had to go into hiding for 30 days.
So that's the interesting thing, because CNN says they quoted Darren Prince saying his drinking escalated to a level that none of us have seen before, and then he says that Dennis Rodman said alcohol was one reason he shot from the lip earlier this month, and told CNN that an American imprisoned, the guy we're talking about, Kenneth Bay. He said that he may have done something to deserve his 15-year hard labor. And I just think it's interesting, because I'm starting to think they sent him to rehab because in rehab it was the safest place to be.
Yeah.
24-hour watch. You got medics on staff. No one's allowed in or out without a card.
That's a really good point. Yeah. So he said that Kenneth Bay may have done something he deserved to be there. Yeah. I mean, and that could be true. This is the clip I was looking for. And it's funny, I went on the internet to try to find it, but I forgot that I'd actually made this clip like a year ago, and it was sitting on my hard drive, and I was like, oh, well, there it is. I actually made this clip myself. It's on the internet. So this is him explaining why Kim Jong-un trusts him.
Now, you know both men. You've spent time with the North Korean leader. You've spent time with Donald Trump. How do you think the two men size up in terms of how they might get along?
Well, I think the fact that Donald Trump would understand the fact that the people of North Korea have a heart, they have soul, charisma, and they love each other. And I think the fact that Kim Jong-un and his family understands that. I think that President Trump should understand the fact that the reason why the Marshal of North Korea respects Dennis Rodman, the fact that he trusts me. And I gave him something for his birthday, and I thought I couldn't pull this off. And I said to him on his the day before his birthday, I said, I'm going to give you a present. And he said, what is that? I said, I'm going to bring a basketball team, professional basketball team to you. He said, can you do that? I said, yes, I can. Even though I knew I couldn't do it, I said, if I fail now, it's going to be a problem. So basically, I got a lot of people together. I got Popcorn here, helped me out, my sponsor. Thanks to those guys. And it happened, and Kim Jong-un came to me and said, Dennis, you know what? This is the first time someone's ever kept their word to me and my country. And I looked at him, I always got emotional, but I said, wait a minute, hold on. He said, what? Someone's never kept their word to you and your country? He said, yes, this is the first time someone's ever suggested that. And I came through, and I think that he really appreciated that, the fact that he's not normally hearing someone that's trustworthy. And I think that country is normally hearing people that's always lying, deceitful, and not trustworthy. And I think that if Trump goes in there with a great heart, with his heart on the table, and let Kim Jong-un see him, really emotional as far as like speaking to him. It ain't got to be about war. It ain't got to be about hatred or what happened in the future or in the past. The past. We'll move on to the future. And I've told people about Kim Jong-un. He's all about the 21st century. He's trying to progress his country. And Donald Trump is going to do a great job is try to reach out and make sure that our hands, Americans, our hands are always open, because as Americans, we have let so many people around the world join us to be happy in one country, that's the United States. And now we have really put ourselves on a line to reach out to North Korea, and they've been so gracious to me, my family, and the United States. So let's make this happen. If Trump could pull this off, more power to him.
Man, that is one of the most powerful clips, I think, because when he says that Kim Jong-un said to him, nobody's ever kept their word to me. Like, you did something which in the eyes of Dennis Rodman wasn't that big of a deal. I called up a couple of my friends and asked them to come play basketball, like come play a game of basketball in a foreign country. Something these guys have done a million times in so many different countries, right? He says that in the other clip that we played. But he said this is the first time anyone's ever said they're going to do something and they actually did it, like no strings attached. You got to think about how powerful that is for Kim Jong-un. And, you know, this is where I think the really heightened emotional intelligence of Donald Trump comes in, because, and maybe the people that Trump is working with, because when you look at Dennis Rodman, when we talked about the things that we talked about last week about his childhood and his upbringing and like his, you know, broken emotional state, despite being a celebrity and despite being one of the greatest basketball players of all time, he's obviously a very lonely guy who has issues and self-esteem issues, and that isolates him socially, right? I mean, we saw that in the Apprentice clips that we played. Kim Jong-un is also somebody who is isolated, right? And somebody who is not really allowed to be a world leader, so to speak. He's a world leader, but he's not allowed to be in the world. He's like alienated. And putting these two guys together who have a common interest, which is the Chicago Bulls basketball, you know, the fanhood of Dennis Rodman by Kim Jong-un. There's obviously going to be a deeper connection beyond just the basketball thing in the Chicago Bulls. And that's the kindred spirits where they're both like, man, the world both kind of hates both of us, right? Yeah. And they kind of despise us for just being us.
They think they're clowns. The world treats them both as if they're not serious human beings.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I think the connection was. And so Dennis Rodman wins the trust of Kim Jong-un. And because Donald Trump had won the trust of Dennis Rodman by the way he treated Dennis Rodman on The Apprentice, Dennis Rodman then goes back to Kim Jong-un, gives him the art of the deal, and is like, you should talk to Trump. Like, just do it. Just talk to Trump. And because he trusted him, that's what makes that whole thing, like that dynamic, work. Now, I want to talk about, as we wrap this up, I want to talk about Darren Prince, because we teased this a bunch in the last episode. So Darren Prince is the agent who's interviewed at the beginning, and he gives a lot of information at the beginning of that documentary. And I found this post about him. This was like a year ago. I found this post about him that he put up, and he says, "Wow, what a week is all I can say. Starting with a great meeting with longtime friend, publishing mogul Jason Bin, then Dennis Rodman and Kanye meeting within a great photo op, followed by 5 speeches to thousands of kids. In between that, a trip to the White House to be part of a president signing a historic $6 billion bill to provide funding to help fight the opiate epidemic." And then it goes on like other stuff. This is October 28th, 2018. And the reason that date stuck out to me, and you know, he's posting the picture here of Dennis Rodman and Kanye. And obviously we did Kanye, I think, on episode 5 or chapter 5 of this show. And they're holding his book that this guy just published. And here's this date: remarks by President Trump in meeting with Kanye West. And
I remember this. Yeah. So real quick, this is in retrospect, because in 2018, I wasn't fully on board with hating Trump, but I didn't trust him. I watched this interview after I found the Q drops in 2020. This was and it was crazy because it was nobody but Jim Brown. I take Jim Brown so seriously. When I saw Jim Brown in that room, I was like, I have to give this man a chance, because Jim Brown was known to be like an avid, staunch supporter of civil rights. Like, he was one of those guys that was like, I don't care if my football career is over. Humans need certain rights. Black people need rights. And that's an honorable man. And when I saw that, I was just like, oh, this guy knows. He knows something that we don't all know.
Yeah. And so for those wondering, this is the meeting that I'm referring to. The October 11th, 2018 is like when Kanye is bopping around the Oval Office, hugs Trump, you know, he's talking about hanging out with Jared Kushner, talking about, you know, how excited he is about MAGA and the future of the country and all that. And then let's see. So that leads me down a rabbit hole where I'm like, all right, well, I need to figure out what this guy's talking about. Why was this guy at the White House? And by the way, I got just a few things that I pulled off of his Facebook. He apparently was at, like the famous Ali Frazier rivalry.
Oh, man. Yeah.
So apparently he was there when the two of them made up at an NBA All-Star game in 2002. He was like at the private suite with the two of them because they were like feuding for years and years and years to fight, and then they came together. And apparently he's friends with Chris Cuomo. So like you got to kind of wonder like did he set up that interview with Chris Cuomo and Dennis Rodman, right?
When you get a chance, share my screen for one line from their website.
Okay, let's go ahead and do that. We'll share. Well, you gotta share your screen.
I got you. So this is from the About Us at the Prince Marketing Group. It says additional licensing projects have included Donald Trump and some more people. So they've worked with Donald Trump. They've worked with Kanye West. They've worked with Chris Cuomo. They've worked with Hulk Hogan. And then this last part, PMG works in conjunction with other agencies and has direct contact to many other athletes and celebrities worldwide. And when I kept reading on, basically what they said was, we don't represent all these athletes, but we can get you in touch with them. And what I'm reading from it is discreetly. So if you want to set up a thing where two public figures are meeting in a public space, but you want it to be private until that's supposed to be announced, they can facilitate that. So I'm thinking Darren Prince, man, and you keep going with this, but Darren Prince is, when you told me his name at the beginning, I was like, who is this guy? Now I think he's the glue, man.
Well, and so when you say he's represented Trump, that was 2022 when Trump did his NFTs, when he did like the trading cards, remember, like the superhero trading cards, and then Melania did the NFT.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So Darren Prince represented both of them in the negotiation for like getting into that space because Trump had no experience with crypto or anything like that.
Right.
So Darren Prince was his agent representing him and all of that. And he says in these posts, he explains their relationship. So here is November 9th, 2016. Wow, congratulations to our soon-to-be announced next president of the United States, Donald J. Trump, on your historic win. While I haven't agreed with several things he said during his campaign, I do know the real Donald on a personal level, and he's always been a great, caring guy and in first class to me and my clients. He gave Dennis Rodman a second chance on Celebrity Apprentice after calling and talking to me for 15 minutes the day after he was fired for being drunk. That showed me how much he cared for him. He loved the late smoking Joe Frazier. So there it is. Like right after he fired him for being drunk, he then calls him and he's like, "Hey man, give him a second chance."
Oh, real quick, Joe Frazier's estate is managed by Prince Media Group.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. So he's praising Trump when he wins that election. Here he is after this most recent election. Congrats to DJT, number 45 and soon to be number 47. Everyone can have their opinions, but I've been fortunate enough to know him personally for over 20 years and having done business with him too. He's always supported my charities and had a soft spot for addicts and alcoholics and told me many times how proud he was in my journey. This guy's a recovered opiate addict. That's why he's so passionate about that. This is where it's going to get really interesting here. Just stay with me on this. So then he goes on to post the day of the inauguration saying, let's stop all the negativity, come together, post the picture of like a signed picture from Trump. This picture right here is what we're going to talk about. This one right here of Trump in front of this golden curtain. So now we're rewinding back to 2018. That's when that clip of Cuomo and Dennis Rodman was done. So he says, January 31st, 2018, what an honor being inside the White House today to discuss the opioid epidemic and how I can assist. Using my gift of sobriety and my past experience, I aim to educate the youth and those suffering about how to go about finding hope and recovery. So I went and checked. There was nothing about the opioid epidemic on January 31st. Like officially.
Yeah.
But there he is on January 31st talking about it. There was, however, a really, really big summit on March 1st, 2018. And here he is right here, March 1st. Here it is, finally walking into the White House to lend my support to the first opiate epidemic summit for the Trump administration. Here's a picture of him with like, what a day, one in honor. The White House has got this one right. Picture of Darren Prince with Dr. Drew, and that is Giuliani's son, Andrew Giuliani, who ran for the governor. lots of pictures in his Facebook, by the way, of him and Giuliani. Him and Giuliani seem to be very tight. Andrew Giuliani.
Right.
And then he goes on later to, here's February 20th, him posting the invite for the March 1st event. He then goes back on October 24th, and that was the one that he was posting about. Now, I want to play a clip for you, Cam, and this is going to resonate with everybody from the March 1st one, okay? Before we play that, though, I just want to mention this. There's some sort of sponsorship connection affiliation with this Banyan treatment center. We're not going to do the dig tonight, but this Banyan treatment center is connected to Saudi Arabia, and it's connected to the resorts.
That's what you were telling me about months ago. But when you first cooked up the idea for what week we were going to do this, you told me to look into this place. Oh, I'm gonna have to do that dig later.
This might be how he's connected to Kanye. Like this might be a Kanye, MBS, Darren Prince connection. The Banyan Tree resorts. These are the resorts they're building all over the coastline in Saudi Arabia. The one that, remember where Kanye West went and lived there for months. That was in 2022, and he recorded that record. So there's a connection here. We're not going to go into it tonight, but maybe in a future episode, I'll bring you back and we'll do another Kanye, because Kanye, there's another Kanye episode that's coming.
Yeah, for sure.
Sometime in the future. But I want to play this clip, and this is going to kind of round everything out. Then we'll do rants. This clip is going to connect kind of everything. All right, here we go. So this is from the March 1st opioid summit. And they had Jeff Sessions was there. It was like a 4-person panel. Jeff Sessions was one of the panelists. My thoughts on Jeff Sessions is he's an absolute patriot, and that he did exactly what Donald Trump wanted him to do. And he is the super based Keebler elf that we love. So we should do an episode on Jeff Sessions, because I think he is absolutely at the very top of the list when it comes to white hats. But let's play when Trump first gets up.
For coming forward and helping us on this crisis next door. But every great movement has a leader, and our leader is the President of the United States, and it gives me great honor and pleasure to introduce him to you now, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Well, thank you very much, Kellyanne, and it's an honor to be with you. I just said I was going to stop over, say hello to some of the great families, and some friends that have had some incredible difficulty. I know what you're going through. Melania's here someplace. Where is our First Lady? Where is she? Where's Melania? Hello, darling. So she feels so strongly about it. Kellyanne feels so strongly about it. And I do. And a friend of mine, Steve Witkoff, who's a great developer in New York City. Stand up, Steve. I didn't know you were going to be here. Steve had some big difficulty he went through. Steve, come on up here. Steve has been one of my great friends over the years, tremendously successful man. And would you want to just discuss this? Because we're all among friends, or, you know, it's a tough thing to discuss, right? But I was there when he was going through something with a very special boy, right? Go ahead.
I remember the hug you gave me when the world was, when I felt all was lost. I listened to Eric's story. I lost my son in 2011, and he didn't buy drugs on the dark net. He bought drugs on the internet, a website owned by 3 of the largest U.S. corporations in the country today. So it's not just the dark net, but he was a great kid, and he detoxed the first night with me. So he was my special child. So if I lost him, I always felt like hopeless before you were elected. And I've never lobbied my friend about anything. I've just supported you because I so believe in you. But if my son knew that you were going to take up this battle, oh my gosh, he must be upstairs applauding every single day. So I am so grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. You take care of it.
That's 7.5 years ago, almost 8 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. And like I watched this thing earlier, and I had no idea that was going to happen. And then I saw him come up, and I was like, "Holy crap!" Because yes, in 2011, Steve Witkoff's 21-year-old son overdosed on OxyContin, and you heard him say he didn't buy it off the dark web. He bought it from one of the biggest corporations in America on the internet.
Yeah.
And so you don't think Donald Trump has a vendetta against these people? He absolutely has a vendetta against these people. And when you talk about loyalty, you talk about how he recruited Kanye West, because Kanye West will never turn his back on Trump. He said that. Dennis Rodman will never turn his back on Trump. He said that. Kim Jong-un and Dennis Rodman obviously have that similar relationship. Steve Witkoff and Donald Trump obviously have that similar relationship. And on this day of all days, with Donald Trump just going to the Knesset in Israel and talking about peace in the Middle East, and that was all facilitated by his friend Steve Witkoff. Yeah, so all this stuff is connected, and Darren Prince seems like there's a big role that he has carved out for himself. Former addict.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's hit. I have two produced ads that we are going to play, and then we're going to do rants.
Perfect.
They say confidence starts with smooth skin. And baby, Soft Disclosure Lotion delivers.
I swear by this stuff. Like, I kid you guys not. This is the first lotion I've ever had in my entire life that, like, I don't get ashy after I put it on any part of my body. Like, my hands are always dry, and my hands have not gotten ashy without, like, rinsing them through water and washing them with soap since I started putting Soft Disclosure on. Like, it is black man approved. I kid you not.
Black man approved. You heard him. And let's be real. If it can handle his hands, it can handle anything.
Feet are like, they get so dry, like the heels of them, it'll just kind of like flake off. Like, but with Soft Disclosure, once you put it on, like it starts to absorb it.
Yeah, he went there. Don't worry, we won't show you his feet, but trust us, they're smoother too. Soft Disclosure Lotion is made with aloe, goat's milk, honey, and our exclusive oil blend that actually restores your skin barrier. Visit softdisclosure.com, use code Badlands, and get 15% off.
I'm excited to announce that we're having our biggest 3-in-1 sale ever with a limited edition product, a back in stock special, and a closeout deal you won't find anywhere else. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get our MyPillow bed sheets, only $29.88. Any color, any style, any size, even kings, regular $119.98, only $29.88. Once they're gone for good. How about our My Towels? They're finally back in stock, but not for long. Get a 6-piece My Towel set, regular $69.98, now only $39.98. And for the first time and the only time ever, get our limited edition premium My Pillows. They're made with Giza cotton and designer gusset. Queen $17.98, Kings only $19.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get the best offers ever. Quantities are extremely limited, so order now.
Yeah, and I just saw your message. So apparently, if you're watching on YouTube, I think YouTube was not happy about us playing other YouTube videos like on YouTube because they are just awful like that. And yeah, anyway, so if you're watching on YouTube and it's screwing up, apparently we're getting static or something. You just gotta go watch on Rumble. It is what it is. So
I think it's just the clips too, guys. That's what Bay Theater Dave and some other people were saying. So if you need to, you probably watch the show. So just if you need to see the clips, just come over to Rumble and scroll through and watch the clips that you missed.
So what is like blacks out the clip? that
I have no idea because I've never seen it, but I saw it twice in the chat. But Bay Theater Dave was the last one I saw. But they said that it's like blacking out the screen, I guess, when we played YouTube. But apparently it came back once we were done. Just like it would black the screen while we were playing it. I don't know if the sound played though.
And for those asking, yes, we probably are going to do a Steve Wickoff episode, and that clip will probably be like the cold open because it's.
You know who you're going to get for that one? I don't know anything about Steve Wickoff.
No, I don't. But that's not in the immediate future. So
okay,
I'll have some time to plan it. Because we got a lot. We still had to get through the whole first Trump administration before we get to the second.
Oh
Trump
shit! I totally forgot. We were in 2018, 2013. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, we're not. It's not chronological. We run back and forth
in
the timeline, but there's just a lot of geopolitical stories to cover from the first term. So
Trump's got the best story, man. Like, I can wait because I wanted to stick around, but I'm so excited. Like when I'm old, like 50, 60, I want to read some books, maybe written by one of us. That's just like and this book. I hope your show gets turned into a novel at some point. Like at least like shortened down. You know what I mean? Just
that's why we format it this way because it's kind of formatted like a book. All right, let's talk about GART 2. GART 11 actually, right?
It is 11, isn't it?
Is it GART 11? I think it is.
I think so. I'll check. If not, it's GART 10.
Either GART 10 or GART 11, but it's Cocoa Beach, Florida. And this is November 6th through 9th. We're going to be heading there in about 3 weeks. It's hard to believe it's coming up that fast, but very excited for this.
10. GART 10.
GART 10. Okay, yeah. GART 10. Very excited for this. Hope to see everybody there. I know a lot of people have already reached out and said that they have a ticket. If you can't make it in person, make sure you're getting a virtual ticket. They're going to be discounted, I think, until the 15th, like day after tomorrow. Yep. And even after the discount period is over, I know that we've been able to reduce the price. John's been working really hard to make that happen with the hotels and stuff. So I think the price has come down, but also the virtual ticket it has come down as well. So go to badlandsmedia.tv/events. Looking forward to seeing everybody there. So with that said, let's see if we got any rants. And y'all, please hit the thumbs up if you've appreciated this conversation. We definitely appreciate Cam being here. Jen Cantrell, 1776, $5. Keep up the great work. Appreciate you, Jen. Babbage 3. The clips are setting off the YouTube copyright alarm. You might want to cut it out on you. Cut it on YouTube. Yep. Babbage, appreciate that. Faith and Freedom, $5. Appreciate all the work you put in. Thank you, Faith and Freedom. Appreciate y'all support.
Thank you.
Let's see. I saw another one. We got Cindy Waters, $10. Holy poop emoji. Makes me wonder who Kim Jong-un knew in Switzerland and if he's perhaps a sovereign bro more so than our boy. I got more questions after the show than ever. Great show, fellas. And yes, I would say 1,000%. He's so when I was on Burning Bright show, I think the last time I was on a few weeks ago, Burning Bright distinguished between a sovereign bro and an our boy. Talking about like Zelensky would be an example. He said of an our boy, meaning like an asset that we control, an asset that Trump's team controls, right? A sovereign bro is someone who is earnestly trying to defeat the globalist cabal and isn't being controlled, but is actually acting in earnest. Putin, I would say Putin is, I mean, for sure. Xi, Maduro, 1,000%, I would say Kim Jong-un, MBS, but I would say Kim Jong-un 1,000% is a sovereign bro who had his strings cut. Whatever the forces were that were controlling North Korea, that's been cut. And that's been proven now. And we are going to do an episode on Kim Jong-un, and we'll run like this will give you everyone the perspective, like so we can just talk about Kim's background. We can talk about his boarding school days. We can talk about him coming into power, his family structure, the founding of North Korea, all that stuff. And you'll already have the background of Dennis Rodman, so that when Dennis Rodman comes up momentarily in that, you already will know. That's why we structure the show this way. Mm-hmm. But then we can talk about the summits between him and Donald Trump, them making fun of each other on social media, like all the fun stuff. So I look forward to that. And then I want to look and check on badlandsmedia.tv to make sure we don't have any boosts. And then we are going to raid Ash because we went over.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think we're good. I think we're good on the boost. So thanks again, everybody. Hit the thumbs up. Cam, why don't you tell everyone where to find you?
Awesome. First of all, Ghost, thank you so much for having me 2 weeks in a row. It's freaking awesome. My 3rd time on here, man. Make sure you guys support Ghost and all his shows. Great guy, obviously, but man, wealth of knowledge. So you can find me on YChromes, 1 o'clock Eastern time on Mondays. My show Flow at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time on Saturdays. And usually I'll end up on OnlyLands on Friday nights at 10:30.
Awesome, man. And next week we are going to have Lieutenant Colonel Oak McCulloch back. So we're going to do the part 2 of the War Manual show of the war fighting show. So we did the theory of war last time, and this time we will do the conduct of war.
Listening to you guys talk about war maneuvering was like, I felt like I was in an academy, like a military academy, like learning like 101 class. It's like, here for you civilians that are becoming military people. This is how we started off. But, man, I'm interested.
I'm really looking forward to that show because that's such awesome conversations with Oak. All right, guys. Well, again, hit the thumbs up, and we will see you next week.
Later, y'all.
Thank you so much for joining us, and don't forget to hit the thumbs up on this video. And a special thank you to all of our advertising partners. Please remember to shift your dollars to support those businesses that support Badlands Media.